All right, so we are currently recording, so everything should be locked and loaded. I want to thank you for coming on, first of all.
Sure.
If you would, just go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Michael Jamin, TV,
Great,
TV writer and showrunner. How about that?
absolutely. I had noticed your profile, and this is a big testament to Instagram advertisements working out, and wanted to have you come on and talk a little bit about your background.
Sure.
Uh, Coming from the entertainment industry myself, I really found it interesting to uh, look at everything that you've done, which is a wide variety. You know, I don't really want to pick on one specific thing, but as an experience as a whole, is there any specific experiences that were more preferential, or were there specific shows that were more difficult? Like, how did that all work out for you?
Well, I've been a TV writer for about 25 years. My first staff writing job was on a show called Just Shoot Me. And so that was pretty much the most exciting job I ever had because everything was brand new. I was new to Hollywood. I was in over my head. I didn't really know how I was good enough to get the job. I felt like I wasn't good enough to keep it. And it was very intimidating. But in terms of each job has had its own challenges. Wilfred was a particularly difficult show to write for because it was about a guy and his and a dog, a talking dog, but we weren't sure if the dog was a real magic talking dog or just the figment of this guy's mental illness. And so every single line that we had to write had to work on both levels of every line. So it was kind of like it was like doing math in your head.
Sure, it's kind of like breaking through the 15th wall, right?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, obviously something more personal for me that I really, wanted to ask as far as the King of the Hill goes,
Hmm?
who came up with the whole "God damn it, Bobby"? As the writer,
Damn
you
it,
know,
Bobby.
yeah,
Yeah,
who
or you
came
say
up with
dang
that?
it. Dang it, Bobby. I don't know. I got there in season 5. I was there from season 5 to, I think I was there 5 years, season 5 to 10 maybe. And then I came back, excuse me, to do a couple freelance episodes after I left. So I wasn't there. I wasn't one of the original
Sure, sure.
writers who
Yeah,
came
I
up.
just I just had, if I'm gonna be true to my childhood, I just gotta ask, because that's probably one of the most legendary parts. But,
Yeah.
so as far as what I traditionally ask, the most basic questions, as far as what inspired you. Was it your situation? Was it friends and family? Was it a specific thing that you were inspired by, or what
Become a
was your
TV writer?
process? Yeah,
As a child or a kid, teenager, I used to watch Cheers on TV and remember thinking, man, wouldn't it be great to work on this show somehow? And it didn't even occur to me then that they had writers. I didn't know how it worked. And then at some point I discovered, because they don't really tell you that there's writers in the show. All those names at the beginning, the producers, there's just various levels of writer. So once I figured that out, I was like, I want to be a writer on Cheers. So right after college, I moved out to LA to, chase my dream.
yeah. And after Coach left, I really couldn't watch anymore. That
Oh,
Coach was definitely my
Coach was
favorite.
terrific, but so was Woody. Woody was
Yeah,
great.
yeah. And I never got too deep into Frasier, like the next iteration
Right.
of it. But I'm kind of like a, first through fourth season kind of guy, and then, something comes up, and,
Okay.
I don't know. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm not the biggest entertainment guy. For me, I'd rather be actually behind the scenes, in the studio actually shooting the content versus being a audience member myself or a fan myself.
Hmm.
Because I don't know, it's kind of weird that having worked with Post Malone or different artists like that, it's almost like you don't want to be a fan to a certain extent. Because you don't want that to affect the relationship that you have with the people. Have you
Right.
experienced anything like that, or how would you suggest that I approach something like that if in the future I do meet a Larry David or those type of people?
I've worked with a lot of big celebrities, and I'm not a starstruck kind of person.
Yeah.
There was only one that I felt was like I directed Mel Brooks on an animated show I did years ago, and that was to me like meeting your idol. And they always say, "Careful, don't meet your idol," because you build them up in your head. But they're just normal people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I got to meet Postman's grandparents, and earlier in the night, someone had tried to shake her hand or something, and she said, "Oh no, I'm a hugger." So
Oh,
later in the night, we were on the bus, and I had my laptop out, and I was reviewing footage, and she had sat on the stage, so she couldn't really see. So I, sat down next to her on the bus, and I said, "Yeah, like I was raised to be a hugger too," and we had a nice little moment, and
nice.
everybody's the same. And she said, when is Post gonna start doing country again? Like I'm kind of tired of this hip hop stuff. And they had only gone to this was maybe their second show in 2017 or something around that time. But so what would you say is the team around you? Has it been, whether or not it is friends or family or people in the industry themselves, who have helped you become successful?
Well, I originally I teamed up years ago with my writing partner, and so we've been working on every show together for almost 25 years or so. So we're a team.
Great, great. And you can't mention who that is?
Oh, his name is Sievert Glarum.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got a
Cool.
name.
Shout out, yeah. Because that's what I like to do, just to allow people to talk about, the people around them and who has helped them be successful. Now, as far as, due to the virus, obviously we've all been affected, and, that really affects the more short-term goals. But do you have any short-term goals or things that you're working on or things that you just wrapped up or that you previously just worked on?
Well, the virus changed everything in Hollywood. You can't. There's no production. Everything just shut down. There's some virtual. I'm on a show called Tacoma FD right now. We're starting a virtual writers' room in a couple of weeks. I'll see how that goes. But when it originally hit us, I was like, "Well, what am I going to do?" So, I had just to keep busy. So I decided to create an online screenwriting course. So anybody wants to see what that is about, you can go to michaeljamin.com and look for the course. And then I started writing a collection of short essays, personal essays, which I hope to publish maybe in 6 months or so, 6 months to a year. I'm a little more than halfway done. So that's just, just
Cool.
discovering new ways to write.
Cool. And I'll also list that down in the description below if anybody's interested in taking that course. And it was something that I was personally interested in as well, that I'm a big idea guy. That now that we're talking about the virus, one of the ideas that whether or not I should, have people sign NDAs or not, but as far as the virus goes with the Hong Kong flu during Woodstock. So if you were to tell the Hong Kong flu perspective of the government in conjunction with Woodstock, so it's kind of like telling Woodstock from another perspective, but then also taking keys from this virus to kind of, play with Woodstock, because I feel like, what are two of the most popular cultural things, Woodstock, and now we've got this virus. So that was one of the ideas that I had.
It's always good to tell a story from a different perspective. So,
yeah.
for sure.
So that was an idea, related to the virus that I had come up with. But so as far as more long-term, I know a lot of shakeup has been happening, because I want to shout out William Ingram. He's got a three film feature with Amazon, and they were supposed to be filming in D.C. last August for 3 months or so, and everything got pulled. That all the investors and everything that it, is that similar with you, that everything is just kind of, like you said, shut down?
Everything's on hold, and who knows what the industry will be different when it comes back. We don't know what it'll look like. So it's up to all of us to be willing to roll and adapt.
Yeah.
Or else you'll be locked out.
And I know there's a big exodus as well. I don't know how much you listen or watch Joe Rogan.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, there's a big exodus, and I know especially with
I think
taxes,
that was just tax. I think that was for tax
Spotify.
reasons.
He'd rather buy an $18 million house in Texas than pay California or Nancy, them $18 million. But that's you can obviously look at me. I'm in the middle of Cincinnati with a 3,600 square foot building. If I was anywhere but Cincinnati, I'd be a millionaire right now.
Yeah, right.
Right. And my grandfather came here from Europe, so did my grandmother, and he had a machine shop here, and so it's always been my dream to be able to own a business out of here. So,
Right. Yeah, I
um,
admire that.
yeah. Now, what would you say have been throughout that 25 years any specific obstacles that got in your way that you were able to overcome?
As far as being a writer, there's always something. You always have to reinvent yourself in terms of the style of writing you do, the genre that you're in. So that's been good. I mean, I've worked in animation, I've worked in live action, single camera, multi-camera. Everything has a new challenge, and it's a new way of learning. That's great.
Yeah. And I think one of the main things that I got from your advertisement was keep it simple. That, you don't really need to worry about the format. It's really about, just getting the idea out there. And I think, on a videographer standpoint and a producer standpoint for me, it isn't important, per se about, the camera and the equipment. Although it is, what's most important is the story, so that's something that I've always got to remind myself as a perfectionist, that not everything's going to be perfect, that
Right.
just like today, eCam with Skype and all those complications now. Moving forward, as far as, so if you didn't have any specific obstacles, were there any sacrifices that you had to make? Or did it just, like you said, you're a working writer, so has it just kind of been smooth sailing to a certain
Oh,
extent?
no, I mean, I'm from New York, so a sacrifice
Okay.
was I had to leave my family and start a life out here. It's never smooth sailing. I mean, when you're a writer, I get paid per episode produced. So when I'm on a show and the show is doing well, I do well. If the show gets canceled, I got to find another job. So, I mean, you're constantly looking for work or hustling. That's the
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I think it's very admirable to have that consistency,
Yeah.
because there's flashes in the pan, 15 minutes of fame, or someone like in my situation where I had Postman agree to do a show with us, and my
Mhm.
partner at the time kind of dropped the ball, and then I was working with a local radio station and did 29 episodes with them with the
Great.
Freestyle Friday series, and we were actually optioned to go up to Columbus to do the Power 105 because I could basically produce a Breakfast Club-esque type of show. And our DJ in Cincinnati didn't want to give up the throne or give up the hosting position, and he wanted it to be more about him. So we ended up not getting the opportunity to go up to Columbus because they wanted their Columbus DJ to be the main
Right.
host of it. So we
In the
never
beginning, you got to you don't get what you want. You don't have leverage. So
exactly. So I
after,
left, because I felt like I had done a good enough job, and unfortunately, a lot of these radio stations are quasi nonprofits these days.
right.
And they were, the program director was promising me all of these things, and nothing comes to fruition, and DJs are asking me to do extra things for them, and I'm like, well, talk to your boss, like, get me a position here. But so we did the Freestyle Friday series with the local radio station, and then did some work with local studios and things. But now with the virus, since I can't really be socializing or locally, I have been reaching out more outside of my own state. Now, a question that I had as far as taxes go, I know with Tyler Perry's studio in Atlanta, is there that also exodus from the movie industry trying to get away from those high taxes and different things?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these states offer not so much taxes, but incentives.
Incentives, yeah.
So they'll help subsidize part of your production. Canada will do the same thing. Um, in the end, Hollywood is still Hollywood, so
Yeah.
most of the work is here. But then maybe they'll shoot in Atlanta, or they'll shoot in Vancouver, Toronto, or something. But
Yeah.
still, the hub is still here.
Okay, and I may be ignorant, and that's just why I wanted to ask. Like, do you know anything about Ohio? Because I've heard that there's Kentucky subsidies, but I'm not sure about Ohio.
I don't
Do you
know.
have
I
any
know
idea?
New Mexico has a robust industry. We're
Okay.
trying to, but it comes and goes in waves. Right now, no one's got anything. So
Sure.
right now, it's
Well,
about animation.
yeah, and I think that's the direction that we're going as well. That I had a local producer a couple years ago say, "Well, Tony, if you were to build a cyclorama studio, I'd be willing to pay, X amount of dollars an hour. So that's what we went ahead and started building. And
Certainly
so
for commercial shoots, you could be doing that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I think whether or not I've seen a lot of sets not have the actual cyclorama corners. We were planning on doing like a 3-foot curve or something around those lines, but a lot of productions I've seen there, they don't have any curves. It's just a straight up wall that's green and a floor that's green, right?
Well, yeah, often you'll see like a green screen where you have, where sometimes the floor gets curved down.
Yeah.
So like that, or there is sometimes, it just depends on what you're shooting.
Sure.
But it seems like you got a great space there. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and that was our plan.
Green on the floor, though, for sure.
Yeah, and that's our plan. Our next steps moving forward is doing a self-leveling concrete. Then we're going to go ahead and paint it because, like I said, behind us is 2 giant doors that are about 11 foot tall, about 1,000 pounds worth of thick wood.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, do you have any other questions for me? We basically covered everything.
Like I said,
we did
I
pretty
admire
good.
what you're doing. That's terrific.
Yeah, and if you ever have any input, I would definitely, like to learn as much as I can as I go, and that this was definitely a great experience. Now, where can people find you?
MichaelJamin.com, JAMIN.com, or you can follow me on Facebook, Michael Jamin Writer on Facebook. I can pull my Twitter is. I always forget what my I always forget my handle is.
Yeah, and I'll also link everything down in the description as well for
Twitter
anybody.
is Michael Jamin 2, and Instagram is Michael Jamin 1.
All right, so my first consulting type of opinion on that is don't have numbers in your username. That's my
yeah. I was a little late for that. Where were you when I needed you?
Well, you can change your username.
Oh, okay.
You can change it.
Oh.
So I don't know if you were to want to do Michael Jamin Writer.
Yeah, I should probably make them all consistent.
So then across all platforms, then you can. But that's what I'm here for. That if you want, because I know you're obviously relatively new to Instagram.
Yeah, I really don't. I'm brand new to that. I just started. I was very personal, very private. It was only when I created this course, I was like, all right, people need to find me now. But before that, I was like, I was a little surprised that people want to know where I was.
Nice. Maybe I need to make a course on like 0 to 10%, because that's kind of like what I specialize in, building a specific Gmail account, and then you create all the usernames be the same, and then you get a logo, and then you use the logo on, every profile photo, every cover photo, and then you build up content, and then you schedule it out, so then you're not having to worry about, a posting schedule or different things like that.
Yeah.
Because there's something called Facebook Studio or Instagram Studio where you can schedule posts.
Yeah. Creator. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I wanted to appreciate you coming on, man. This was great.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'll do is within the next couple hours, my turnaround's pretty insane, and you'll check it out on my YouTube channel, and then we can, go ahead with how we want to release it.
That sounds good.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you again.
All right, buddy. Be well.
All right. We'll see you. Bye.